Hello everyone, my name is Dmitry and welcome to my channel. Today is time to talk about a pretty hard topic nowadays about traveling in 2020, in 2021 and in the future. What I want to talk about today is my experience, because for the last 3 months I've been traveling 3 times in a different type of transportation. So I used plane, I used bus and I used car. First of all, I want to make a little disclaimer before this video starts. By no means I'm a COVID specialist or a transportation specialist or anything like this, so take my advice only with a grain of salt, and always think on your own, and better if we're talking about COVID, consultate with a specialist. So I only talk about my experience and my personal opinion. Let's start with reasons for traveling. Me and my wife, we've been in Bali when the pandemic started, and we decided not to travel for a while. So we spent in Bali 10 months, and for these 10 months we've always been thinking if we should travel or we should stay in Bali. And because we think traveling, if it's unnecessary, it's better not to travel nowadays, because you always have a chance to spread coronavirus. But unfortunately at some point we had to go back to Russia, and all the flights right now goes through the Turkey. So we decided to travel to Turkey, spend there 2 months and then go back to Russia. So now let's talk about our roads we took for the last 3 months. First of all, it was a plane, a pretty long plane from Bali to Jakarta, and then to Istanbul, and then to Antalya. The next time we traveled, it was a bus from Istanbul to Antalya. The next one we take a car in Antalya, and also the last plane from Istanbul to St. Petersburg. It was a direct flight. So let's talk about the first one. It was a flight from Bali to reach Antalya. It was a really long flight. It was 3 transfers, and we had to stay in flight for a long time. Of course, during the whole flight, almost all flight companies require you to wear a mask, and it's maybe a good idea to also wear a face shield, or if you can't wear a mask, for example, you can replace it with a face shield. At least some of the airlines allow this, but you have to have some really serious reasons to do this. We used double masks because we read one of the research that double masks work better than just a single one. So we used the medicine mask and took a second mask onto this. This was a really hard experience because we have to wear a mask like 16 hours, and after 16 hours, if you didn't try this, your face kind of all red and it's itchy, and yeah, it's not a pleasant experience. Of course, it's bad for me to complain because, for example, medical workers wearing a mask nowadays every day, not my place to complain, but yeah, anyway, I'm just sharing an experience. One thing you should always consider before taking any flights, of course, if necessary, you have to check if the COVID test required before sitting on a flight, because for example in the Bali airport they ask for a COVID test right near the entrance of the airport. Second one, if it's required on arrival, and of course all these things need to be checked how long these tests last, so you don't have a expired test on arrival. For example, in St. Petersburg we had to take a test after arrival during this 48 hours. Sometimes you can do it inside the airport or in some of the special centers around the city. Anyway, you also had to check for a quarantine, because some of the countries require 14 days quarantine, some of it requires just wait until your test passed. So yeah, you have to check this information. And of course, some of the countries use the quarantine hotels or some special places, so they are approved by the government, and only there you can stay in the quarantine. You can't stay, for example, in Airbnb on a hotel by your own choice. So always check this one. And also another thing to check when flying is if the country are open or not, and what's the visa situation, because some of the countries are completely shut down right now, so they don't allow foreigners inside. Pretty good source for that is a kayak website. There is several of them, and of course you can be 100% certain on this website, so you always should double check with the government websites or even call them to check, because the information is changing all the time, and all these websites can follow the changes sometimes. But yeah, kayak is pretty good. They have a map, they have a list of countries, and you can even subscribe to the email newsletter, and they send you the information when some countries are closing or opening. I use it a lot. The next thing, which was pretty surprising for me, that almost all the airports we've been to where we do the transfer, it's Jakarta airport, Istanbul airport, and Bali airport, they were pretty empty, because for some reason I thought there is a lot of people, and I was like preparing to avoid people, to go some roads where there is not so many people. But yeah, the airports, at least transfer zone, was really empty during the whole flight. One thing I also would like to ask you, if you are necessary to go on the plane, please wear a mask. I know it could be uncomfortable. Please wear a mask during the whole flight, because on the flight from Istanbul to St. Petersburg there is a lot of problems, and flight attendant always have to go to some people and ask them to wear a mask during the flight, because they're trying to take it off all the time. All these flights were by Turkish Airlines, so yeah, I only can speak about this, but Turkish Airlines doing pretty good job. They clean the planes, and they trying to use this circulation air system, and they use some measurements to pass the food to people so they don't affect each other. The only thing I noticed that they don't have many room between the seats, so I thought you were sitting on these chairs, for example, and the next one would be empty, but it's not the case with our flights, because almost all the plane was full. I expected that it's going to be like at least half full, but yeah, that is what it is. The next type of transportation we used is a bus. For some reason we thought the bus would be more safe way to travel. We thought the same way as the planes. We thought it's going to be half empty, half full, and maybe there's not so many people inside, so it's going to be more safe way. But yeah, the reality is the bus was the worst type of transportation we take so far, because the bus was completely packed. It's the same with the Turkish Airlines plane. If you're buying one chair, you're not gonna have a neighbor, but anyway, it was so full, probably maybe many people traveling together with two people. And also the bus was pretty bad. We had to stop in every gas station so people can use the bathroom, because there is no toilet inside the bus. There is so many stops, and they always announcing these stops pretty loud, so you can't really sleep. It was a night bus, 13 hours long. It actually took even more, 14 hours I think. So yeah, it was pretty hard experience. Also there was many people who also was trying to take off their masks, and there was one guy, our neighbor, who was coughing really hard, which was really anxious for us. So yeah, it wasn't pleasant way to travel, and we really regret that we decided to go to the bus from Antalya to Istanbul. It would be better to just take a flight which is 1 hour long. So yeah, but anyway, we had this experience. The next type of transportation is a car. Take a car in Antalya to go around and go for a hike to Likyan Way. And well, car is probably one of the best way of transport now, because it's only your car, so you're sitting inside alone. Some of the countries I think require wearing a mask inside the car. Maybe you can correct me inside the comments, because I really don't understand why you should wear a mask inside the car where you alone or you with your family, for example. Of course, if you're stopping somewhere on a gas station or something like this, you have to wear a mask again. but yeah, maybe I don't understand something. And yeah, the car is pretty good because you completely relax. There is no other people, so you can't affect anyone, or you can't pass the COVID, or nobody can affect you. Of course, you always have to remember that you're going to some destination, and you have to wear a mask in this destination and respect all the rules. The only issue with the car was that in Antalya there was a curfew during COVID, and you can't rent a car on the weekends, but anyway we take it on weekday. And also they usually required you to rent for longer. In regular times before COVID you could rent for 1 day, and now they required you for 3 or 4 days, for example. I think because they need to clean it really well. They need to do some special cleaning process after each renter, so they're trying to force people to rent longer. Yeah, that's probably it. I just wanted to share my experience with traveling this year, and who knows how many time we will experience these all limitations because of the COVID. I hope it's going to end soon, but nobody knows. I want to repeat that if you not necessarily need to travel, you probably should stay home. But if you have to travel somewhere, just respect all the regulations, respect all the rules. Please be safe, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to discuss something with me, just put your comment below. And yeah, subscribe to my future videos, give me thumbs up, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.